Welcome back, agents, to Further Right with Blake Kresses, a show where I, Blake Kresses, attempt to take you further to the right. Now, if you've spent any time at all on the internet within the past month, it's very likely that you've heard at least one out of the many stories coming from the current war in Ukraine that, by all measures, literally mimic those of a comic book. You've got Mary Sue-like characters that have committed incredible, almost impossible feats on behalf of the Ukrainian government, stories of intense sacrifice, heartbreak, and drama. Now, all of these things do commonly occur in war, but odds are that everything you've heard about this one is a lie. Take the Ghost of Kiev, an ace fighter pilot supposedly single-handedly taking out multiple Russian jets. Total lie. And no, Kinzinger, Sam Hyde is not a pilot or Ukrainian. How about the Snake Island soldiers who bravely told the Russians to go f*** themselves before dying as martyrs for their nation? Turns out that they're all still alive and they peacefully surrendered. These photos of Zelensky supposedly fighting on the front lines that were actually taken a year ago. Very fascinating stuff. Miss Grand Ukraine holding an assault rifle that turns out to be an airsoft gun, or this video of a supposed Russian tank indiscriminately crushing a random driver in Ukraine. Turns out that there's no evidence it was a Russian tank at all, and is in all likelihood actually a Ukrainian tank that committed the atrocity. Luckily, though, the driver survived. Now, surely, there are a lot of terrible things happening in Ukraine right now. War itself is a terrible thing. Now, considering this, why is it that almost everything we're hearing about the current situation a lie? Why are we being told grandiose, heroic stories that are all made up? The answer is simple. Ask yourself this: what does Ukraine want most right now? For the West to put boots on the ground and send American boys to fight for them against Russia? What do the media and worldwide global elites want more than anything right now? American soldiers to die for Ukraine. War is ratings and war is profits. This has always been true in our modern world, and when you have a society that is totally oversaturated with and constantly consuming superhero movies, these superhero types of stories are very useful in appealing to the population and convincing them to get involved in something that they shouldn't be involved in. It's extremely appealing, the rally to defeat the big bad who's evil simply for the sake of being evil. Among specific sects of our population, these stories are very emotionally charging, which leads to an emotional reaction, which leads to irrational thinking and support for irrational and destructive things. Now, to be fair, I'm not really one to be talking. I'm a huge fan of Marvel movies. They're a guilty pleasure of mine and always have been. But something I value far more than Spider-Man is the truth. And when situations like the one in Ukraine arise, the American people have never been told the truth. To some people, raising morale and garnering support is far more important than the truth, which is why certain crazies will tell you to shut up when you question the validity of the Ghost of Kiev and for you to enjoy the show and unconditionally support Ukraine. And unconditional support is necessary and in the end compulsory. Take this clip of a Russian Australian bringing up his view on the certain atrocities committed by Ukraine against Russian people.
I've been pretty outraged by the narrative created by our media depicting the Ukraine as the good guy and Russia as the bad guy. Believe it or not, there are a lot of Russians here and around the world that support what Putin is doing in the Ukraine, myself included. Since 2014, the Ukrainian government, together with Nazi groups like the Azov Battalion, have besieged the Russian populations in the Donbass, killing an estimated 13,000 people, according to the United Nations.
Earlier about Russia, and it's been playing on my mind. And Sasha, people here have been talking about family who are suffering and people are dying. And I understand you wanted to ask your question about, is there some reasoning for this? But you supported what's happening, hearing that people are dying. And can I just say I'm just not comfortable with you being here? Could you please leave?
Dissidents will not be accepted under any circumstances. Here in America, if you even for a second question the narrative and what you're being told about Ukraine, everything that you're hearing from the same people who locked you in your homes, who shut down your business, who muzzled your kids, who forced you to take experimental drugs, the people who ruin your economy, double your gas prices, flood your country with third world migrants, the people who tell you that you're evil for being white, call you a terrorist, sexually exploit your children, hate you, and hate your country, then you're a traitor. If you don't want to listen to the military-industrial complex that has lied to you about everything when they say that America needs to go fight a major nuclear power for a country most of them can't even point to on a map, if you question Putin's actual motives and don't agree that he's simply a mean, narcissist supervillain who's invading a smaller country just to be mean, then you're a Russia sympathizer. You love Putin and want innocent people to die. Now, conservatives. Given that you know the media lies about everything, why are the majority of you suddenly going along with everything they say? Why are you suddenly aligning your interests with George Soros and mainstream media? Reevaluate what you believe right now. Understand that everything they've said in the past 2 years, maybe forever, has been a lie, and they haven't just suddenly stopped being liars. Now, regardless of what you think of Putin, understand that Zelensky is a literal homosexual who supports trans children and abortion. He's also in line with the World Economic Forum. Now, personally, I believe that we should have stopped treating Russia as the enemy a long time ago. They would have been a great ally in the current struggle against China. Some will say that they're aligned with China, and my response is that no wonder that they are, considering China seems to be the only country that hasn't demonized them for decades. But regardless of that, take a step back. When all the people who hate you command you to unequivocally stand against a Christian leader who calls out the immoral invasions of our society and refuses to allow them to besiege his. But whatever, even if you still hate Putin, think he's a communist or whatever, understand that Ukraine and Zelensky are not your friends either. He and his allies in our media and government are against you. For years, the left has related conservatives to Russia. They tried impeaching our president on the basis that he was a Russian spy. When you see them talk about the desire to kill Russians, they mean you. And that doesn't change regardless of you conceding to their support for sending Americans to intervene in this war. So even if you still hate Putin, don't allow yourself to be psyoped into supporting a nuclear war. Stop trying to be allies with people who hate you. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Further Right. If you like what we're doing here at the KGB Show, please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and join our Patreon to become an agent. Very epic stuff. I'll see you in the next one.